Okay, so I can see most of the people are like 60% are from India. Okay, that's good. Okay, we can just start. I'll just end this poll. Okay, that's good. Okay, so once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome for today's webinar on build your own web application with n8n without writing a single line of code. So today we have with us Mirza Rahim Baig, who is a team lead for product analytics at Zalando. He worked closely at the intersection of product data automation and real world problem solving, helping teams build smarter and scalable systems. So, today in the webinar, we'll learn how to build a real website without writing a single line of code, how to create automations, workflow that actually work in real world scenarios, how to connect forms, APIs, and tools seamlessly using n8n, and how to design systems that save number of hours of manual effort every week. So this session is completely hands-on and practical. And I would also request all the participants to turn on their camera to make this session more interactive. And all the queries question, you can either type it in the chat box, or we have a time after the webinar. We'll take all the questions once the webinar is done. Thank you so much for joining us today. Over to you, Rahim.
Right. Thank you, Dipali. It's also good to see we have quite a mixed audience from all over. I think because of the timing, perhaps not many North Americans could join, but yeah, we have a good group. We already have 200 and close to 240, and I suppose people keep joining as we have observed earlier. So we'll get started anyway. We don't want to punish the people who joined in time. So let's get started. And yeah, let's begin. This is the agenda for today, right? I think the poll, Dipali is already done, so we don't need more polls, but still, let's say we'll start with the case study because we are building a specific solution, right? So we need to understand what the problem statement is and what solution we are building. So we'll start with that case study. We will see why you might want to use n8n for building simple web applications because there are many other options, right? But why would you want to use n8n? How does it help? And if you are a developer or someone who wants to start building solutions, why you might want to consider this. And you also want to understand why this versus the other options. Yes, like I have other options. I can build other front end, back end myself. I can build some other full systems on Google Cloud or whatever, right? So why would I want to use this, right? That is one of the main things to understand, really, right? Then we'll talk about this particular case study, how we are solutioning it or designing the full solution for this. We'll like what components we need, what functionalities we need, and we'll also go about building them. Yes, so we'll do all of this. And finally, I mean, towards the end, perhaps we'll talk a bit more about to some extent about the architectural decisions or decisions around things. So for front end, we use this, but why not use something else? Like what else could you use perhaps, right? And what complexity it adds, right? The database we use, what other database we could use perhaps. When you want to deploy this, what kind of considerations you have for a small company with 1,000 users or let's say 100 users, how it is different versus a company with let's say 100,000 users every day, right? What you might want to do differently. Because some might think, this n8n stuff is not really valuable for something which is a bit more, say, high traffic. So there are these questions we might want to discuss there, those as well. And let's start, right? And the general way of engaging in this session, so we'll have a very practical approach. In general, questions at the end, but if you feel there is something which you're really stuck, right, and you're not able to progress, because I'll make a lot of pauses in between, ask for questions. I'll keep stopping, so that if you have a question, please use the Q&A. Do we have a Q&A, Dipali, in this? Yeah, we have a Q&A.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. Yeah, please ask in the Q&A, because if you ask it in the chat, right, it's very easy to miss this, right? I'll not see this perhaps. There's so many inquiries in the chat. So please use the Q&A. It's much easier for us to see the questions and resolve them, right? Or respond to them in text if needed. So please do so. So ask the questions as soon as you get them. I'll also make pauses in between, right? Asking you questions perhaps, or some considerations. And this is very important. You have to build with me, right? This is not just some sort of a technical Netflix of sorts. You have to build things here with me. So that's your goal. Your goal is to create something tangible, something which you perhaps already after this session are proud to show off to your friends, right? That could be something. So let's try to build something at the end, right? And please keep your cameras on, because that's much better for as an instructor for me, really, because staring at blank screens and not knowing what's happening is not, it's very disorienting as an instructor. So please keep your cameras on. It's much more engaging. All right. Um, Sohail says, "Good to see that there's a Q&A section. Perhaps, Dipali, you can address that. But yes, so this is how you engage in the session. And we'll start building soon. But before, I start showing you things and demos and stuff, let's agree on our approach to building things. We will look for functional instead of beautiful, because there's many ways to beautify things, some styling here, some HTML code there. You can beautify things, but we'll focus on functional, because even in this 2 hour time, we have taken a very ambitious goal of building the full system, right? Which might not be super, super easy, by the way. So we'll focus on functional instead of beautiful. Beautification you can do later if you'd like. And we can also link go here to learn how to beautify, right? So things will work, but they might not look so good, right? But that's fine. We will be very practical in our choices of things. So, depending on, we'll assume a certain case study, and in that case study, we will make certain assumptions, and we'll be very practical about our choices. We need this instead of, oh, this sounds good, right? We will focus on what is really needed, right? Cool. And we want to build something quick. Like I said, building all of this in 2 hours, right, is not so easy. In fact, uh, if even 5 years ago, right, before this whole generative AI stuff, what we are building right now perhaps would take much, much longer, much, much longer, really. So being able to build this in 2 hours itself is something really powerful. And that doesn't mean that just because you're building something quick, we don't need to understand why you're doing certain things, right? We will still discuss the considerations. Yeah? Like what is the other way of doing this and why we're doing this way. So make sure you hear those. And we'll have negligible, minimal code. In fact, practically zero code. There's maybe a couple of places where you have to enter a formula, and I will share that formula with you so that you just take that formula and paste it in your window instead of having to write code yourself, right? That's pretty much the approach we have in this session. And let's see. All right. Right. And this is my intro, just so you know, like who you're talking to, and what topics I would be strong on, which topics I'm not so strong on. This will help you understand. So I have 16 years in data science and AI roles. Uh, Role titles don't keep changing essentially. Sometimes you're a data analyst, sometimes you're a data scientist, sometimes you're a machine learning person, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But I've been like working hands-on on data in e-commerce and pharma. I worked at Flipkart, worked at Zalando and stuff. So big companies, working at cutting edge. So I've been lucky in that manner. I'm also a startup mentor, meaning that I keep talking to startups, keep seeing what they are building. Also active in the startup space. So I also have perspective from what is being built, what is working, what is not working. So that also gives some practical views, right, about things. So that's added perspective. And I'm also in education myself, right? So I've in AI and machine learning, multiple courses with top ed tech platforms, visiting faculty for MBA programs and stuff. I also have courses on Coursera, one of the n8n courses on Coursera. There's courses on Maven and other places, and also an author of 3 books already on machine learning and data science. And another one is coming soon, hopefully soon, right? So that's about me. But I think of myself as someone who's solving business problems, doing whatever it takes, right? And just a small note, because I assume some of you, or a decent number of you, are developers yourselves. So I believe so. We can have a check around that, but let's see. Developer yourself. So I'm not a developer, like full developer myself, right? While I have had exposure to these things, but I'm not really a developer. So I'm my depth is limited in some of these topics. So if we have a very specific question, maybe someone in the audience or in the group might have a better answer. So experts in the group, if you have a question, if you see a question which is like very in depth, and if I ask, okay, I don't know this, please stand up and respond to the question. That it's good to have that engagement as well, right? So just a disclaimer, I'm not the most expert in the full stack development, but I do have a good amount of experience in building solutions and workflows and have a fair idea of how these things work. So I might be able to help you to a certain level in very technical questions as well, right? Right. And one thing you could do right away, right? You could also find me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to answer your questions. Happy to provide career guidance. I also keep sharing things about careers and the reality of careers and whatnot, right? And some technical ideas which perhaps are not being shared by others. So you could also join or follow or whatever. Please go ahead and do that, right? So you can scan this if you'd like, or find me on LinkedIn. But happy to be connected and even help you out with your questions. Even after this webinar, if you have some questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I might be able to help you. Right. So that's about me, and let's begin with get into the case study. Right, and start paying attention now, folks. Uh, Important stuff. The case study. So we are talking about this client of ours, which is a car rental service, like Zoom Car or some other rental service where you log into the portal, you have an account, you have payment and everything done. You just go, you find a car, you kind of take that car for rent, drive it away, right? So pick and drive. It's a car rental service, imaginary, but yeah. The problem for such a company, it's a very common problem, by the way, is that a lot of the things around onboarding the customer. So let's say I go to the company and say, I want to use your cars. Of course, for that, I need a few documents as well to even verify that number one, I'm a real person, with my real name and everything. And number two, also things like, okay, my license is valid or not. So there's a lot of onboarding, there's manual verification which happens, right? And this takes a lot of time. If you're a small company with maybe 10 customers or 20 customers, 30, then this is not really a problem. But if you're growing as a company, if you have, let's say, hundreds of rides every day, or hundreds of onboardings every day, or it's really not manageable, right? And manual verification has its own issues. You of course, errors are there in data extraction. You also need to enter things into a database somewhere, maybe Google Sheet or whatever. Of course, that is also problematic, right? Of course, traceability, and there's not much of a logging as well, like why this decision was made, why that decision was made, and so on. And typically, what happens is if you don't have a good system, if you're a small company, if you don't have a good system, you end up using multiple things. You use one thing for this part, you collect info separately, then you go into your email, you take it out, and then you from something, right? You go and you enter into a sheet somewhere else and submit somewhere else. It's a mess, right? So it is, and there's a lot of issues just because of that. And you have multiple people, or maybe you need 5 people doing just this, where in reality, you could have an AI system and one person to just, just make sure something is not wrong, right? Or override something manually. So instead of 5, you can have an AI system and one person. That is the goal. So what is the requirement right now? The requirement is to make a kind of a self-service kind of a link or a portal, right, for license verification. So the customer comes in, uploads their driving license image, right? Automatically, what should happen is the image should be uploaded, data should be extracted. There should be a validation whether this is, the expiry date is beyond a certain range or not, right? So I could have a condition that, okay, if the user is driving now, it should be valid at least today, right? Or it could have conditions like it should be valid for at least 3 months from now, all right? Something like that, some sort of a criterion like that. And so there should be a validation of this. And then there should be an entry. So there should be entry into the database about the customer itself. Like, okay, this is the customer, this is their corresponding license information. And you should also add that customer image into a database or a storage somewhere. And you should be able to identify that for this customer, let's say for this customer who is Dipali, This is her information in terms of license, and this is the reference image as well. So when you have to extract it, you should be able to extract information, license information, and also the image. So all of this is needed along with a simple front end, back end, meaning that, okay, front end is like the form or wherever you fill this, right, should be also easily made in this, right? So this whole thing is something we will build in the next couple of hours, right? So let's get started and let's see. There's something in the Q&A. How much this application can benefit HR professionals? All right, Javeria, while the example is that of a car rental service, right? Any, and this is many functions where you have working with documents, working with images, extracting information from images, right? This can be used in all of those situations in finance and uploading a resume, perhaps, right? And resume is taken, extracted information and stored somewhere with some rules, right? That can be done or something else. So many of these places, right? That's why I chose it in such a manner that there's an information extraction from an image or a document and extracts images, stores in a database. This is a very common thing. I'm sure it can be used in HR professionals as well. Yes. So this is done. Can I get the recording? I think this has already been answered that yes, there will be a recording, right? Cool. Let's go ahead. And the end solution will look something like this, right? This is the technical thing, and we come back to it later. It looks fairly simple, but there's a lot of details, but I'll come back to it later, all right? Anyway, let's also give you a look of the demo of the thing we're building. Okay, so it's a quick small demo, right? You can see my screen. Maybe this is big enough. Right. So very simple interface. Like I said earlier, we don't need to build it beautiful. We can make it beautiful afterwards. It is functional. It's pick and drive, driving license additions, welcome, upload a clear image. This single interface, you will say choose a file. We'll take this license thing. Okay. And when we click on submit license, in the background, the whole process is running. Process should run and information should be extracted. Some fields I've taken right now, you could take more, less, whatever. But following were extracted, license number, this, license class, expiry date, and whether it is valid right now or not, right? And you can return to the main screen and fill this again with a different image or whatever. So this can be for an individual customer. This can be for an operations team who needs to process multiple documents or multiple images, right? So one by one, they could keep doing this. So it looks very simple, but that's again, like I said, that's not the point, right? This can be simple. What's behind the scenes is more important, right? And later you can beautify this as much as you like to. Good. So let me, anonymous participant, no, we'll be using n8n, which essentially we will see soon. We'll discuss this also, other options as well. This is very simple, by the way, because we have to do all of this in just a couple of hours, right? So we're going to do this very simply. Right, let's come back to this. And yes, okay. So now let's go into solution design. And before I do that, Dipali, there's also a poll about their comfort levels with n8n already, right? Can you please start that? So I know how to adjust the pace.
Yes, sure.
So there's a poll asking about your comfort level with n8n, because I believe we have a very mixed group. So I want to understand how many of you are like really beginners, how many of you have some experience, and how many if you have fair amount of experience, right, doing this. Johnny says he's a beginner. Yes, Johnny, we'll have a poll. So we'll see. Mohammed Faisal, you have 10 years in n8n. Wow, okay. No, 16 in n8n. No, no, we're talking about n8n experience, by the way, but okay. So n8n was founded in 2019, so it's 6 at most. All right. Okay, so there's a lot of completely beginners. Let's see how it is. Let's see how we manage this, okay? So comfort level with n8n, very simple question. You have used it, you have not used it, right? Wow. Oh man, this is great. in a certain direction. Okay. Okay. This is interesting. Let's try this. So, by the way, just FYI, this was not supposed to be a beginner, very beginner friendly session. This was supposed to be a bit more intermediate level session because we had done a beginner level session a while ago, and this was like a okay next level of sorts. But let's see how we can still go ahead with this. Okay, there's 80% of you haven't used n8n, so that's uh, quite a challenge. Let's see anyway. And what about this? Can you put this in chat, or maybe if Dipali, it is easy to, um, it is easy, right? Can we also ask them what their general comfort with uh, software development is? Like how maybe that helps, right? Because if you are
Right.
technical but not use n8n, this is still fine.
Yeah. I'll just make it live in next 1 minute.
Yeah, yeah, right. But anyway, overall, first thing I got is that okay, we yes, right. Okay. So someone says knows coding. Yeah. So there will be people who know coding but new for anything to do with automation and agents, right? So let's understand that as well, right? But anyway, let's treat it like, as someone mentioned in chat, treat it like an intermediate thing, right? And because there's a recording, you can review it and go slower as well. All right. So let's take that kind of an approach and let's not go super slow. Okay? Otherwise, I think if I go super slow, this cannot be done in 2 hours or 1 hour and 45 minutes, right? Something. So let's see. Let's see. There's something in the Q&A. Can you mention previous section link? Don't see a poll. All right. The poll would be coming soon, Miles. All right. Let's go ahead. Okay, I'll start anyway. And Dipali, while you prepare it, the poll, you can just put it on the screen whenever, right?
The poll is live.
Poll is
Uh,
live. Okay, I don't see poll.
mm,
No, there's another poll, right? Yeah, there's this one. I know coding. I'm software developer. I don't know coding. Okay, let's see this. This will be very important, I think. This is interesting. Okay, so you know technical stuff related to this building things, but you don't know automation, right? So this is good. We can still go at an intermediate level, right? Then it's fine. Okay. Okay. So the prerequisite from going from this point is that you have an n8n installed, either installed on your system or in the cloud, right? You have access to n8n. And what we had also shared with you was connecting n8n to Supabase, right? The online, like a database system. So if you have these two, I think we should be quick. Okay. Right. So we have what 80% plus who know coding. So we are good. We're good in that way. All right. Right. Let's go on. So solution design. Now we're talking about how to design that case study, right? We know this case study, right? We want this stuff. Let's design this. And what we'll do is we want to do these things. So we want the system to be able to do so and so things. One, collect user input, of course, which is upload a license image of the license, driving license, multiple formats, WebP format, JPEG, bitmap, and PNG, and so on. Then we want to have it to extract key things from the image like name, license number, issue date, expiry date, license class, and so on, right? Date of birth, perhaps, of the customer. So we know much more detail about that. Then you also need to validate whether the license is valid today. You could also change this logic to say license should be valid at least 3 months from now, right? That's all easy. That's all just changing the formula. So it's not a big deal. But having some sort of a validation, right? And then after this, you also need to have consistent structured output. So it can be passed across, put into a database and stuff like that. And then we want to store extracted information into a database, right? We also want to store the images securely. Yes, we want both of them, not just the text, but also the image. And you should be also able to link them, that this is the image corresponding to this user's information, right? Metadata and the image, both should be linkable, or you should be able to correlate them in technical terms, right? And finally, once this is completed, the user gets a status update that this has been done, or that, okay, this is not a valid thing, right? So you should be able to get this kind of information. Cool. This is what we need to do. And in the next slide, we'll see what we'll use for each of them. Okay. For collecting user input, we will use n8n form because it's a very straightforward thing. There's also other options. We'll just have a dedicated discussion around this. Maybe what else could have been used. Maybe you can build your own simple front end with you can add some forms with some webhook. That's also very possible, right? It's also, but right now, because you wanted everything to be kept on n8n without any coding whatsoever outside of n8n, we have used an n8n form. And n8n form also can be much more beautiful than the very ugly looking form I showed you, because it has custom styling and multiple elements and stuff. We'll see that in a minute, okay? So collect user input, number one. Then we want data extraction from the image. And for this data extraction from the image, and in fact, for this and the next step as well, we will use Google Gemini 2.5 Flash, which handles images as well as text and stuff. So we will use Google Gemini 2.5 Flash in an AI agent node inside n8n. So that AI agent inside n8n will not only extract the image, but also say validate the data and also return the output in a very structured manner, and using or connecting with an output parser. So just to make sure that the output format is consistent. Of course, we will use JSON. Most of you knows JSON, so all good. Now, for storing the metadata or extracted information, we will use a table in Supabase. And then for let's say creating the file storage, a secure file storage, we will use again Supabase buckets, right? And again, Supabase was one choice. All of this could also be done on Google infrastructure or wherever, right? So this is again something we might discuss later. Good. And finally, the n8n form itself is updates when the input is collected, so the user can see this. Okay. Right. So that's about our choices for now, and later we can see why some other choices and so on. Okay. If you set up locally, I don't think we have to pay. Yes, so you can have a local, fully free thing as well. You can also use a paid thing, which then transfers a lot of the maintenance stuff to n8n, right? Compute. But if you use local, of course, you have to manage the deployment, right? So it's a trade-off, cost and convenience thing, and we'll talk about that as well. Cool. So now the question is, why use n8n for building web applications? Because of course there is far more powerful technologies, right? I mean, someone was asking, Angular and React. I mean, maybe n8n doesn't allow you to do that, but maybe directly not, right? Maybe you can still build the front end, separately, and inside there is a webhook which communicates with the n8n workflow, right? So you can still do those. But the question is, why use n8n for applications in general? And the simple answer is that you have everything in one place, right? Especially if you're using the online version, which is a paid version. And I think the minimum paid thing is $20 or $25 something. Okay. That is if you go in that route, right? That simplifies things quite a lot. Even if you don't use that online paid thing, right? If you do it locally, everything is still free. You just have to manage things yourself, right? Even that is straightforward, right? For those who know how to do this. So it is a great choice because everything can be contained inside of n8n without really needing to even say install multiple libraries, without having to worry about containerization and so on, right? It's very straightforward, really. So n8n is a great choice because number one, it is a visual builder. I think some people prefer that. It's much easy to see the full logic. It's much easy to debug as well. So n8n is really great in that. Uh, a simple front end is very easy to make. There is forms and stuff where you can have custom HTML and many elements like how you have, right? Like a radio box or a drop down or a text area or an image, so many things, right? So that's really easy to build a simple front end as well. It has excellent integrations. Of course, a lot of integrations, many different say platforms and stuff are easily integrable. Many nodes are there. Um, and we'll see also with MCP servers and stuff, it is also very easy to work with the latest thing. n8n generally is frequently updated in the sense that it is again always up to date. So whatever new thing comes, it comes onto n8n rather quickly. So when MCP servers became a thing, n8n was one of the first platforms to allow you to use MCP servers, right? So n8n is really valuable in that way. Also, there are various deployment options, many deployment, meaning that we'll discuss this specifically this point. You can have it on your machine. You could have it on n8n Cloud, which is a paid version. You can have it on your own, let's say private server at a much lower cost of let's say $4 or $5 per month, or maybe lower. If you want like full flexibility and full control, full monitoring and everything, you could use it on AWS, Google Cloud, or wherever, right? You can deploy it wherever. So there's a lot of deployment options over here, right? And if you're using the n8n Cloud version, if you're an organization or even if you have invested in this, if you want to do this professionally, I would really recommend going for an n8n Cloud version because it really simplifies your testing, simplifies sharing things, giving it over to clients and stuff. It's really very easy with n8n Cloud, right? So n8n in general is a great choice, and we'll build these things quickly. Okay. Now, let me see if there's any questions. There's something in the Q&A. Can you mention previous section link? I don't know what you mean, Sahan. Maybe if you're talking about previous webinars, right?
Yes, actually,
Okay.
it's about the web. Yeah, I'll
Then
just
maybe,
get the webinar link.
all right, it could be put on chat perhaps, right? Then, okay, cool. There's a nice question. What is n8n? Okay, right. We'll talk about this maybe in a moment. But I hope you got some idea already based on what we are sharing on the screen. Yeah, it's a visual builder for systems where you can have AI features, you can have non-AI features, AI features, but you can visually just drag and drop and connect things so that you have a functioning system. You can automate things as much as possible, and really you can do practically anything with these systems now, right? Especially with the whole MCP server thing. Right. So let's get started. And in fact, just as an idea, right? Even deployment, right? Setting up error notifications, reliability evaluations, and there's also, if you deploy it a certain way, and then output can also go in containers into the console. So from console also you can read and it an output, right? So you have really full control if you want to go that way, right? So it has something for everyone, really. Now, coming to the question of what is n8n, I'll take this very briefly because someone asks, unfortunately. Um, right, so n8n is a workflow automation software. It is, you can build highly flexible workflows with little or no code, right? That is n8n, simple. It was founded in 2019 in Berlin, where I am right now. So which is why around me, I see a lot of n8n, right? People working on n8n and stuff. So it's a good place to be if you like n8n. And this is extremely popular among developers, but recently also getting popular among non-developers who want to build their own automation. So this is really becoming really popular these days. And key features is that there's a lot of AI features. There are features which are added very quickly. So agents, n8n was one of the first platforms to give you agents as a node inside, just connected. MCPs, they came very quickly to n8n. So whatever idea you can think of, right, whatever new thing is coming up, it is quickly coming onto n8n. It is very easy to use, as we'll see. You also can add Python and JavaScript code with code nodes. So if there are people who like do things the code way, you can also add code nodes, right? Very flexible, really. Then you have local hosting. You have a lot of options for privacy. And there's a very active community, which also keeps developing and giving things. Okay, so in the sense that um, anything new, I was telling, right? Something new comes up before, let's say there's an official say release by the original company. Maybe someone in the community will give you a nice community node over there, right? To start using it. You go to the n8n thing, you'll see tons of templates. I mean, if I give you an example here, this is the n8n website, and you'll see there's a lot of different things, IT ops, SecOps, DevOps, sales, all of these different people can build these different kind of workflows. These are like small nodes, you connect them and there's a flow of information, right? That's how it is. And there's a lot of things over here. I mean, you can see later n8n.io. You'll see there's community, there's templates also over here. It's n8n.io. and you'll see there's 8,500 templates. So if you want anything like, okay, someone asks in the chat, can we say video upload automation, right? And you see automatically create and upload YouTube videos with quotes in Thai, okay? Automatically create cinematic quote videos with AI and upload, right? So automatic video upload, right? So like upload video and image ads to Meta, upload video, create playlist, right? All of these things you can see the community will already will have thought of these things and will find these templates online, right? Cool. So let's go ahead, go back. Oh, what this? Yeah, go back to the slides. And accessing n8n, there's two options. One is local installation, for which you need to have this. There's a process. It's not much. If you folks are comfortable with coding, this should not be much, right? So it should be straightforward. And then there is n8n Cloud, which is so much easier. If you also are a beginner and let's say you don't know much programming and stuff, you can just go to n8n.io. Right now, if you don't have the account, just go there, start a 14-day trial and get started. Don't worry about installing anything. Just go with this for now. And later, when you have the time, you install it and then maybe, follow along. But anyway, for now, I would recommend just taking this and getting started if you're not already. Okay, so go to n8n.io, start a 14-day trial and get started, right? Now, inside of n8n, because most of you have not used n8n, right? I'll talk of this a little bit. There are 2 or 3 types of things, okay, inside n8n, which is really important to just understand what they are. One, there is some things to do, of course. So send an email or update a Google sheet or fetch some information, right? Or extract image, something like that, right? So there's specific actions, right? And these actions happen through these nodes or apps or whatever you might call them. Okay? So you can use a Salesforce system, you can use Gmail nodes. So you can perform various actions inside of n8n using these nodes. So that is, a to-do thing. But there's also triggers. So something which kickstarts the process. So for instance, every Monday morning, the whole system should work and do this. That is like a scheduled trigger. Yes. Or it could be manual. I click on a button and then it starts, right? Or when someone submits a form, like in our case, we'll make something, right? The form will be live all the time, and someone submits the form, then this workflow is triggered. Otherwise, this workflow is just waiting in a way, right? So there are actions, there are triggers, and then there's also filters and conditions which say manipulate or which control how the data flows, which control which things are to be run, which things are not to be run, and so on, right? There's essentially these 3 types of thing. So what to do, right? And when to do, right? And what conditions and filters you have to apply. Very simply, that's what it is. And we will see this, but once we see this inside, it'll be much easier, right? And a simple workflow could be something like this. So let's say there is every day at 9 a.m. do this thing. You kind of like my email is fetched, let's say every day at 9 a.m., right? And then there is sorting and filtering and formatting, remove this or do that, or, summarize this or give me a summary and so on, or draft a reply. And then there is an action finally, which is, okay, schedule a meeting with this person or send an email or update a Google sheet and stuff. So this is like a very minimal thing. Of course, you can have many more actions and many more conditions, but bare minimum, right? You have something which is some sort of a trigger, and you do some basic manipulation of it, and then you send it back, right? Or do some other action with it. That's it. Basically, that's it. So we will see how to do this. There will every workflow we build, there will have to be a trigger. In our case, it will be a form. Someone has filled a form. Then there will be a lot of data manipulation, extraction, and so on. And then there will be end actions like, okay, in our case, putting it into a database or putting it somewhere else, right? That's going to be our approach, right? So let's get started. I think this is not so important at this point. Let's go to n8n now, right? n8n.io. Let me, so this is what we'll build. So I don't need this right now. And the Zoom stuff is so annoying. They're not letting me navigate. Okay. Okay. All right, good. So this is up. I'll just start a new workflow. I don't need this older one. So let's create a new workflow. So, okay. Because you are new to n8n, let's do this again. So when you log into n8n, right, you'll see something like this interface like this. I mean, you won't see all of the stuff because I've been using this for a while. So I have a lot of folders. I have a lot of things here, right? Maybe 100 of them, but I have many of them, but you will not. You'll perhaps see a blank over here. You'll just see workflows with nothing over here, right? But you'll also perhaps see here credentials,
Hello,
which
Rahim.
is, yeah,
Yeah, actually your screen is stuck.
stuck. Oh, let me
Author.
perhaps, yeah, let me try this again. Okay. Uh, Validate. Okay, here. Okay, we try again. Come on, this Zoom is so annoying. Yeah, now can you see? No.
Yeah. Now it's visible.
Okay, all right. Right. So when you come to the home page, I'll repeat this. When you come to the home page, so to say, you'll see this view where you have on the top you have these tabs: workflows, credentials, execution, and data tables. In my case, because I've been using this for a while now, you see there's a lot of stuff here. Okay, maybe 100 plus workflows, but you will not have those, right? You'll just have a blank space. Okay, there won't be anything over here. So there will be workflows. This is where your each of your process is. Then there will be credentials. This is what you'll be using to connect to different systems. Yes. So for instance, I'm using Superbase. So there will be a connection to Superbase. I'm using Hostinger for hosting stuff, Google stuff, right? So Notion, OpenAI account. So many things, right? So all of these, Redis account for caching and stuff. Anyway, all of these, you'll see that there will be a connection which we'll have to create. And once you create a connection, it is usable, right? You can come and modify and so on. There will be executions. So when something runs, you'll have execution. So you can go in and check, how the execution was. You also have notion of data tables, which is like tables which are storage inside of n8n, which you can modify, which is not too important at this point. Okay. But what's important to know is you have workflows, you will create credentials, and this will allow you to connect to systems. And if things are executing, you can go in and check. Like for instance, I ran this thing a moment ago, right? When I give you a dummy or example of this, right? That particular form which we filled, right? And here you can come in and see, oh, okay, on form submission, this is the image we had gotten, right? The AI agent worked. This is the output from here, and do JSON sample. All of these details have come up here. And then, so you can like in detail trace the full path, right? How the information went from one place to the other, right? How the flow was. So this is super good because now you can, I mean, this can also be, in a console or whatever if you'd like, but this is also very visually available to you, right? Which is super, super powerful, super neat. So, so you see, you have executions also. Let me go back. So n8n gives you all of this, all right? So it's this. Okay. Okay, right. Let me share my, okay, something's up. Something funny is up. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let me go back. Okay, so here, this is where we are. And here we will create our workflow now. Okay, so create workflow. Everyone with me? Are you all into n8n? Are you signed in? Are you logged in? Okay, are you folks logged in? No, please. What do I do? Okay, let's do this. Okay, what I'll do, by the way, guys, because because most of you are not familiar with n8n so much, I will simplify this a little bit more. The image, putting the image into a storage, that part I will skip, but you will still have image extraction and putting it into a database. All right. So that should be fine. Naeem says, can you do from local, please? Naeem, I'll have to, it will take some time, right? It's the same. In fact, local has more features than the online one, right? local will be better for you. I mean, online will be better for you. And it's the same, really. I mean, you'll see many more options than I would see, really. So because local, yeah, it's not doesn't have to be that stable or whatever, right? So local has many, many more things in general. Everything comes on local 1 month before it comes on to the online version. So if you're using local, you have a more powerful option. Okay. Right. So let's create the workflow. So if you're ready, let's click on create workflow now. And this is it. Um, this is your playground, so to say. This is where you will do everything you need to do. And this is your canvas, playground, whatever. One of the first things you should do is give this workflow a name, right? So you can just call it something, driving license validation. I will name it point two because I have a point one. You can call it something else, my first workflow if you would like, whatever you want, right? So driving license validation. This is a name. It is saved, you can see. Also to know it is inactive right now. So meaning that this is just on your system, right? There's nothing, it's not functioning, it's not live, it doesn't have a form which anyone can access. It's just there, okay? Like a simple form. It's a simple blank canvas really, there's nothing else, right? You can add a description to this workflow by that if you'd like. Okay? But coming back to your canvas, this is where you will add the things. Remember, we need to add a trigger. So what starts this workflow? Yes, you have to add a trigger. And you also need to define the core actions. Now, in our case, if you remember, I will add a note over here, okay, just to not go into a different. If you click on this on the right side, there's a note. This is a note, okay. You can double click on this and you can just type it, okay. In our case, what we want is collect user image using a form. Number one, step number one, yes. Step number two, what we want is extract image information or extract text from the image, right? Number three, validate if license is valid or license status. And then number four, you want to give it back to the form is number one. So, but before that, you want to add a row to database. Yes. And finally, result to or show result to user. Yes. This is what we do. I've skipped the part about adding that image into a storage bucket because it's unnecessary complication in this matter. Okay. So let's get started with this. So you have at least this thing, right, where you have fetched the information and you're able to put it somewhere. That it itself is good enough. So number one, trigger will be the form. Whenever someone fills the form, this workflow should run. So you go on the right, you can click on this plus sign, or you can stay here, you can hit a tab. Some people love this tab stuff, so it's good for them to know. But yeah, you can say again, you can click on this plus sign and you can search for the nodes. And in our case, we want it to be coming from a form. So we'll find a form, you'll see n8n form, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be a manual trigger. It can be something, let's say something happens on Telegram. Then this runs, that could be something, or it can be run every day, or it could be on a webhook call, right? So this workflow is here. There is a front end somewhere else where someone passes the information to you. This webhook then starts. The webhook then gets this, the whole work, which is the workflow runs, and you respond to the webhook, right? So, and here is what we have is on form submission, right? On form submission on chat message and so on. There's many, many ways, okay? So in our case, we want on form submission, okay? Here, so on form submission, or you could also just search for form. So n8n form, you'll see, I mean, in my case, I already added this, but yeah, on new n8n form event, okay? On form submission, on form in whatever, but let's do this again, form, n8n form, and you can say on new n8n form event, and you get this kind of a, okay? So with me so far, everyone? So what have we done so far? We opened a new workflow. We went here, we do a plus sign, we search for form, we see n8n form. You click on this, you see there's a trigger because we want triggers right now, right? Want to be triggered. Uh, and you say on new n8n form event. So you click on this and this opens up. You can, for now, hit escape and get rid of this, or click outside this thing to get back to the canvas. Okay. What has happened is this, right? So you had a blank canvas and now you have a node which essentially enables this workflow to start when someone fills a form. But this form right now is, of course, it is blank, right? There's nothing in the form. So this is something you need to configure. Also notice that when you come to this form, there will be a URL over here. So this depends on your ID and everything. So for me, it's like user ID based really, app.net. I'm using cloud, so I get this cloud version. Exactly same thing will work on your local as well. Okay. So anyhow, this is a test URL. For testing, you will have a test URL. The production URL will be very similar. Instead of form-test, you will just have form. Okay. Everything else will remain the same. So this is the form URL. Now, authentication, you can keep none for now. It's okay. Now, the form itself, right now, it's completely blank. It has literally nothing. But we can start adding things, right? We can add things like, give it something, okay? Something like, what was it? Click and drive or pick and drive. Pick and drive license upload, yeah, portal. Something like this, right? And you can say, okay, upload high quality images of your driving license, wait, right? Um, wait a moment, wait a couple of moments for validation. And then you are ready to go. Something like this, okay? Just that. So this is a very, very simple basic form. At this point, it has no inputs. It only has a title. It has a simple description, okay? Let's see. Oh, someone says my pace is too slow. Yeah, Ash, we when we started this, right, maybe you missed in the beginning, we saw that 80% people have not used n8n. So we're kind of like going slow so that everyone is able to, yeah, match the pace, right? Or not completely be lost. So at least follow to some extent and later watch the recording to keep up, right? So form is here, and then we are like, okay. So now you add a description. Now you click out of this, you hit on save, okay? It saves. Now this form, if I execute this workflow, what will happen is actually a interface or website in a way, or page will come up, okay? So it has come up. You won't see this, but let me just share this as well, okay? You can't see this right now. But when I did this, you see, this came up, okay? And this is a test version of your form. And whatever we wrote over there, pick and drive license upload portal, upload high quality images for driving license, wait a couple of moments, validation, you're ready to go. This stuff has come, right? This is a form. And now when you click on submit, this will trigger the rest of the workflow, okay? Also, you see there's a small note over here, form automated with n8n, you can get rid of it also. But anyway, but the submit button, this is what will trigger the rest of the workflow. So let's click on submit, right? And let me go back to the main workflow we had, okay? Right, so you see once this form ran, now you see there is one item here, okay? This is the output of this. Right now there is no input, so the output is nothing really. It only has basic details. So if you come here, you'll see form was submitted at, and form mode is test mode. This is the information right now which comes in the output. So again, if you see this interface here, on the left you will have input, in the middle you have the node configuration, and on the right side you have the output. And when you fill this form with just a test submission, there was no input, right? No data really. So, but we still captured things like when it ran. This is, I think this is UTC timestamp. Yeah, UTC 11:30. and then there is a test mode. Okay, so this is it does, but of course you want more info, right? So what we want to capture is you want to capture the image which we need to analyze. Okay, so there's a question. Please ask questions in Q&A, right? So in input output schema of this, we'll see all of this in a moment. Yeah. Okay. Now this form is to be updated. Now what do we need to do? We have to add a form element. Currently, no elements exist, no items exist. So add form element. What do you want? We keep it very simple. We just take the image. Okay, that's it. So add form element, and we the field name is important. You know, so let's say submit. No, this is image upload. Okay, because later during the workflow we will refer to this image upload name. Okay, so image upload. Okay, now what is this type? Text? No, we want a file from the user, so we do a drop down here, go to a file. Okay, and you click on a file. Do you want to allow multiple files? No, we only want one file. Okay? So image upload, we call it, this is a name we are giving. You can give whatever, but later we have to use it in the workflow. Then what type? It is a file. What file types are allowed? So you can leave empty to allow all file types, which we don't want. We want a little bit of control here. So we want common image formats. So .jpeg, .jpeg, .bmp, right? .webp. What else? Did I miss something very common? .png. Okay. Let's keep it simple for now. Okay. So you have .png as well. So let's say we have these five. Okay? Five formats right now. You can add more if you would like. Okay. Now, is this a required field? Yes, of course, this is a required field. If we don't get this, we can't work with this. This is super important. Okay. So with this configuration, if you see what we did again, we added a field, add form element. This is image upload. We gave it this name. We say we want a file. We said we don't want multiple files. We want one single file, which is the image. And because we want to ensure it as an image, we gave some standard image formats. You could also add more image formats if you'd like. Okay. And then, is this a required field? You say, yes, this is a required field. Right. Now, notice when you did this, when you come to this drop down, you see there are many other types of elements also. You can have checkboxes, you can have custom HTML codes, right? And the moment you have custom HTML codes, you understand that you can do better looking forms also. So you can have nice custom HTML, and perhaps, using this form itself, you can make something much better looking than what we have. Okay. So just to know that there is an option. We're not using it right now because of a time constraint, but there is an option. Okay. You can have dates, drop downs, emails. You can have a hidden field. You can have number, password, radio buttons, text, and text area as well. So there's a lot of options. You can customize this form to a great extent. Okay. Right. Now our form, let me save this, Control S. And now if I run this, form, if I execute the step, okay, click on execute step, you'll see it is slightly different. Okay. Now here, you see this. Now you see the text was there, like before, text is still there, but you have an image upload option. Okay. And then you have a submit option. Simple as that, right? So choose file. I already have some files on my system for samples. So let's say, let me take this one. Okay. DL sample 3. So I have uploaded a file and I click on submit. Right now, when I click on submit, it will simply send this image in the background. It won't do anything else, but that is enough for now to begin, right? This is a good starting point. So I upload a file, I click submit. You might also just, find online some sample driving license image or something. Okay, it should be very straightforward. Just find some sample image online and you should be able to use it. Okay, you click on submit. Cool. Form right now, standard response. Your response has been recorded. Form submitted. All good. Let's close this. Let's come back to this. What happened here? Okay. Now the form has run. You see there is one item over here. What is that item? Let's open this because now we have a real input. You see, now there is an image upload. image name was dl-sample3.jpg, file extension JPEG. MIME type is image/JPEG, and file size. You can view this if you'd like over here, right? You can also view files inside here. This is also very useful. And you can download if you'd like. We're seeing this binary. So this is also important. Images, right? Files are passed as binary, okay? Binary format. So whenever there's a file, you'll see this binary come up. If the file is not there, it's just it's regular. This JSON table and schema are enough. But whenever there is a file, you'll also see binary come up. Okay. So image upload, the name is image upload here of the field which you have to look at. And this is the file name and stuff. We'll quickly come to this. Cool. Also, a small thing, there was this. Let's also take a look at this form, okay? And within the form, if I go here, form response, form path, yeah, there's also custom styling, just for closure, okay? You don't have to do it right now. There's custom styling. So you can change the form and stuff. You see there's also, a code over here. So you can add custom styling if you'd like. I'm removing it right now, I don't care. And you also have other things like, okay, form response, form path, button label, and so on. So right now it is submit. We keep it to submit. We can also change what it looks like and time zones and everything, right? A lot of things can be changed, okay? And n8n attribution. This is, okay, whatever, doesn't matter. So this is what we have. And now we have the information collected. Step number 1, done, right? So collect user image, this is done. Okay. The next step is extract the text from the image. Okay. Now, to do so, as I mentioned earlier, we will use Google Gemini 2.5 Flash, which can handle images really well. And it is cheap, it is fast. Okay. We will use that, but we need to use it inside an AI agent module. Okay. That single AI agent module will extract the image, will also validate the image, will also give a structured output. Okay. 3 things. So let's now see how to use an AI agent inside of n8n. And it's really very straightforward. Go to the plus sign, just search for AI agent. You get AI agent, of course, it's very easy. And you just click on it or drag and drop to the canvas. And you see this thing. You can click outside or hit escape and you're out. Okay. Right. I'll repeat the step. Again, plus sign or tab, then search for agent and you have AI agent. And you click escape so that you're not stuck over there. Okay. Now, this is your AI agent. Now, what does an AI agent need to work? Right? If you folks have any awareness of AI agents, fundamentally it has 3 things. Okay. One, it needs a brain, right, which is some sort of a large language model. That is what we will use Google Gemini for. Gemini will be the large language model over here. Okay. Second is the memory. So you can give it a simple memory. You don't have to have it complex. It's not much. Maybe for our application, its memory is not even needed. Maybe it's a single turn thing, or maybe you can have a simple memory. It's okay. And finally, there is tools. So tools is what will allow the agent to do things, do this or update something, right? There's many ways to do that as well. Okay. But and this agent, by the way, this is fairly complex thing, very capable thing in n8n. You can have an agent, you can have another agent which becomes an agent. It's like you have agent within agent kind of stuff. So you can have an agent which calls another agent as a tool and stuff like that. Okay. There's a lot of different tools available. You see this, right? HTTP request tool, code, tool to write code. There's an MCP client tool, right? There's MongoDB vector store. There's other vector stores. Then there is Airtable tools, right? There is so many things. AWS Lambda tool, right? GCP tools and stuff. There's marketing software, CRMs, right? All of them are possible to do, right? ConvertKit, translation, and so on. So there's no shortage of tools. So you attach all of these tools to the AI agent, you give it a brain, you give it simple memory, and then based on your commands, the AI agent will decide what tool to use. What do I do now? What do I do next? And so on. Okay, that's the simple idea. So let's just connect this to this as the input. Cool. Now, this is connected, as you can see. And Now you need to give it a chat model. This is mandatory to have a chat model, of course. We cannot function without a brain. So you do a plus, okay? And when you go here, we will be needing Gemini, okay? So Google Gemini chat model, right? So is my screen clearly visible to you all? Yeah, okay, it is. Right. So search for Google Gemini chat model. Okay. And when you can click on it, you can drag and drop whatever, right? You can do whatever you like. Okay. And again, whenever you drag something, it opens this up. So it's very annoying. So you can just say escape. Okay. And it comes here. So now you'll see it has connected this to chat model because it figured out there's nothing else to connect it to. All good so far. And there is a Google Gemini chat model done. But you need to have credentials for this. Yes. So that's something we'll see in a moment. Okay. Let's also give it some memory. So simple memory. Simple memory stores in n8n, no credentials required. So for beginners, right? So just take this. Of course, you can also have chat in Redis, Postgres, many more things. Okay, many more things. You can also, in fact, if you don't have direct memory nodes over here, you can also use the HTTP node to use whatever system you'd like, right? Externally. So let's take a simple memory from here and attach it. Okay. And done. I mean, this is all fine. This is, you can skip this, whatever. Okay. You can, in fact, for our use case, memory is not so important, but anyway, because we'll not have, we won't be having multiple turns back and forth. Like, customer will not be chatting with the system. You could even remove memory if you'd like. By the way, it will still work because it's a one-time input you're giving. Okay. So in general, it's good to have memory if you're doing like a chat kind of thing or you need to retain things. But in our application, we don't even need to have memory. Okay. But in general, it's good to have memory. We don't need it right now. Right. So there is a chat model, there is a memory. Now, the chat model is what you need to have a connection to. Remember, credentials. You need credentials for the chat model now. Now, where do you get this? So I have a credential. So, but where do I get this now, right? Let's say I want to create a new credential. Okay. And no, let me just say create a new one. I have many, but I create a new one. I'm using webinar test or webinar key, but anyway, create a new credential. And you'll see this is the host and you need an API key. That's all you really need, okay? So for this, to get this, you could head on to aistudio.google.com, okay? And you can say get API key. So aistudio.google.com, okay? Just go over there. This is one of the fastest ways. I mean, if you already have an API key, please, feel free to use your Google API key, okay? But you could say get API key. I have a few over here, but you can say create your own API key over here, okay? It will be a Gemini API key. You can give it whatever name, for webinar, Gemini for whatever, driving license, okay? And you won't have a project. So I think you'll have to create a project first time. So this is one way to do, okay? Create a project and it will take maybe just a few moments and you can just create a project, okay? Or call it whatever you like, okay? So you can create a project. And then once you do it, you will get a key. And that key, you have to copy the key, okay? Copy the API key. And this, I hope, because most of you have experience with development, this should not be a challenge, okay? So essentially get a key from here. And yeah, let's see. We need to have bought Gemini to, no, not necessarily, Felix, because if you go to AI Studio, a fair amount of usage is free to you. I think you can go to a good level without having any purchase made. So it's just a good amount is free for you. Maybe up to, I don't know, $300 something. It's a good amount which is free. So if you haven't used it before, now is a good time. Okay. Okay. All right. So yeah, let me know how long time it's for some while. Yeah, it's for a while. I think key is valid, but I think the trial period is for 3 months or 6 months. So you can use the API key for 3 months easily. Okay, no worries. Okay, right. 3 to 6 months, I imagine, or until the money runs out, whatever, right? See, you see, right? There's a free tier over here. I have a free tier, yeah, in the bottom, as you can see, which I'm highlighting right now. There's a free tier. So this free tier, there is no billing. And I set it up in December, right? December 2025. So yeah, it's running for now, 2 months plus, right? So yeah, cool. Let's come back. So once you get the API key, you put the key here and you're good to go. Okay. I won't save this because I already have multiple keys. uh, this one is fine. So this will not change what is on top. This API key will change. Just add this key and you're done. Okay. You say test connection and it will be fine. Cool. So this is it. Here you have to select Gemini 2.5 Flash for now. Don't overthink this right now. There's more options, but just go with this for now. Okay, it's a good all-round option. And click outside and just Control S and you save. Just keep saving it. You don't want to lose your work. Okay. Right. This is done. Now, so we have this. We have the AI agent. We have chat model connected. Okay. How many of you could do the API? Just let me know. You're done with the API. You're ready. Okay. API is done. All right, perfect. Then let's continue. So now the AI agent has the brain attached, but it still doesn't know what it is supposed to do, right? And with what data. So that's the next step we have to figure out. We have to configure this AI agent node. Okay. So double click on this node, right? Double click on this node. There's a question, where do I get the connector? Which connector? Can someone just maybe look into it and answer Augustina's question? Right. So double click on this, you're there, right? Now, where should the input to this AI agent come from? That is the first thing to set up. Okay. And as you notice here, there is on the left, there is input, on the right, there is the output and logs, which is standard. Okay. With AI agents, you also need to understand what the whole process was, not just the output, but what steps it had to take. Yes. So that's what you need. So logs will be very helpful in making sure the AI agent is behaving correctly, and this will be the final output. Okay. So let's do. There's a question by Augustinus. Let me just address that. So Augustinus, when AI agent is like this, right, without anything connected, you can click on plus here, right, and you go on the right. So this will open up chat model, and you can just search for Google Gemini chat model. Okay, and it will connect it. Cool. Yes, I hope this helps now, right? Okay, I suppose you got the answer. Perfect. Cool. So now it has this, it has a chat model, you open it up. Now, on the left, you have the input, right? You have the output and logs. Logs, as I said, are important for agents. And then you have the configuration of this particular agent. Now, how should it get the input? Connected chat trigger node. No, we don't have a chat, right? We don't have a guardrails node. We have a define below. So what does define below do? Define below says use an expression to reference data in the previous nodes. That is exactly what we want. We want data from the previous nodes. So click on define below. Okay. Right. And here is where you have to give the behavior of this agent. The agent needs to know what it is supposed to do. Yes. So here is where you have to give it a prompt. And again, prompting itself is a different topic. We don't worry about it so much here right now, but prompting itself is something you need to know. So let me just open this slide here. But in our case, I will give you a prompt, okay? This is a prompt. I don't need any of this. I don't need any of this. All right. You're a professional. This is a standard thing. You're a professional. Driving license verification system, extract the following fields from the provided driving license image, right? We say it explicitly. Extract these fields. First, extract these fields, like full name, license number, date of birth, license issue date, expiry, and class of license. It will do a good job of extracting all of this. Next, you say verify the license is currently valid by comparing with the license expiry date with today's date. And this, you see, is actually a JavaScript variable, okay, which is now, current time. Next, you add a status message. If the license is valid, you say license license is invalid, you say license is invalid. Please update the latest valid license image. The license is proper and valid, you say license successfully uploaded. Please continue with the rental process. Cool. You also specifying that you have to return the response as JSON. And you also say that specifically extract the dates in this particular format. Why? Because we want control. Oh, right. We want structured output. So date of birth, license issue, expiry, all three will be dates, and we need to make sure the formats are rigid. Otherwise, you know how bad it can be, right? Sometimes it takes European style, sometimes it takes US style, and system doesn't really work. Okay. This is the prompt. I will put this prompt in the chat window for all of you to also use. Okay, where is it? Yeah, chat window. Chat window is here. Okay. And the chat prompt is with you. And you can come back here and enter the prompt in chat. Okay. And you can see here, the prompt is added exactly the same, right? First do this, next verify, right? And next add status, return the response as JSON, extract date in this format, okay? All of these details are here. So just copy and paste the prompt I've given you. Don't worry about optimizing it or anything. Just go ahead with it, okay? And again, escape and control S. So you are there, okay? Now, this is still not done. There's still much to do, but let's see. Now, this has been given. This is the chat model is here, right? Cannot copy and paste. Okay, I have no idea what to do with this. Is it something with your Dipali? Is it copying enabled for everyone?
Yes, they can copy it.
Okay, I think others have been copied. Some have not been able to copy. Okay, that's interesting.
I'll just reshare the message, the prompt again. You can like
Okay,
try it.
yeah. All right, perfect. So I'll continue, people, while the prompt we also share maybe later along with the recording, perhaps. Okay, all the prompts that we use. Okay, but the full workflow, maybe we could share the JSON completely. You will have all the prompts, all right? So this is done, right? But let's see if this works well. Okay, so you see this image is already here on the left. You see something in the input. Okay, right? But this will not work. Why? Because prompt is here, but where is the image, right? It needs to know the image to take. And the image is a binary. I was mentioning earlier, it's binary, right? It's not a JSON, it's in a binary format. So here you have to go to options and you have to say automatically pass through binary images. This is important. Okay, so click on this, automatically pass through binary images. And now you will see that the image will be used by the system. Okay, so again, save, just keep doing Control S, keep saving this. Okay, and now when you are ready, if you are ready, are you ready? Some of you? Okay, not yet. Okay, I'll wait. I'll wait for 5 yeses perhaps, and then I'll go ahead. I have difficulties to copy. Okay, then fortunately I can't. If there's any other way, then perhaps we can share with you, Dana. But I think we'll have to go ahead. It's something systematic with your system, perhaps. It's not with everyone else's, or most other people are able to copy. So we'll have to go ahead. Okay? But yeah, we'll share it later on, right? Yeah, share it on WhatsApp group. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. That's also a good idea, right? Take screenshots of the message and give it to Gemini, right? Okay. That's also a good idea. Yeah. Please do that, folks. Okay. Take screenshot and use ChatGPT and stuff. Okay. Okay. Fine. Let's go ahead. Right. This is done. Now click on execute step. Okay. Execute step. See, this is an item, but it's empty. Oh no, it's running. Okay. And here something is up, something funny is up. Okay. As a professional driving license, I am unable to directly process image files. This is so bad. Okay, something is up. Maria Rodriguez, and it is giving you examples. Okay, let me just see what happened. Close extra stuff. Right. Automatically pass through binary was also done. This is done. Required. Okay, I think a few things we. Okay, let's see. Let me just see. Maybe let's just do this thing again. Okay. Maybe the image didn't quite get through. So let's do this again. Let's say execute workflow. When you say execute workflow, this thing will come up. The form will come up. Okay. And you do the same on your side, please. The form should come up. Okay. When the form does come up, please then give it an image, of course. Right. So in my case, adding an image, submit, and it says form has been submitted. Okay. Now, if I go down, you'll see workflow is successfully executed. Right. And now you'll see, because now the data came in properly, right? It had access to the data. Now you see there is some output over here. What is this output like? So let's view it in JSON. And viewing in JSON, you'll see there are extracted fields, but it's so bad. Can someone tell me what's wrong with this? Can someone tell me what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this output? Yeah. Works on my side, yes. It's not really, I mean, no, it's not really a valid JSON. It's a simple text, actually. It's not really a JSON. It's a simple text. The whole JSON is like a text string. It's not a JSON, really. Okay. So we have to make sure that this gives you output in a particular format. Okay. So here's where you have to do this. Okay. If you go back, right, exit the agent, you'll see, let me just come back to this. Okay. You'll see here there is require specific output format. Yes. So click on this require specific output format. And the moment you did this, right, you'll see connect an output parser on the canvas to specify the output format you require. So you see now there is a new button over here, which was not there earlier. Earlier you had only 3. So if I get rid of this, you had chat model memory tool. But if you say require specific format, you'll see that there is also an output parser, which has now come up. And this output parser is very interesting. Let me go back out, Control S, right? I believe there was something in the chat. Form opened, but this error submitted. Form problem submitting responses. Please try again or contact support. No, Naeem, it should not be the case. I mean, if you should connect it to this AI agent, just make sure it is connected, right? And that is the bare minimum, nothing to do with what's next. So just the form, right? Remove the AI agent and stuff if you'd like, disconnect them, keep only the form, and the form should accept something, right? If it's not accepting something, then there is some other issue going on, okay? It's nothing to do with the AI agent and stuff. Okay, right. So let's continue. So now there is an output parser, which will ensure the output is following a particular syntax or particular format. And here you click on this output parser. Now there are a couple of things. Okay, return the results as separate items. No, we want a single JSON is fine. So return data in a defined JSON format. Okay, again, output parser, structured output parser. All right, and go ahead. And here you can either specify the schema yourself, right? Exact schema, or you could give an example from JSON. So I think giving examples to JSON is much simpler for me. So I always, prefer giving a direct JSON example. So I will put that JSON example in chat, right? As well. So this is what we'll use. The example, if you see here, is this full name, John Doe, license number is DL, this, date of birth. So I've given everything as text, by the way. There's a reason, because it helps with the database later and we can modify it later anyway. License expiry date, class license is B, is valid is true. Status message is license continue, whatever, successfully uploaded, please continue the process. And created at, right? Created at is something you will add, so we know, right, what a timestamp is, right? So created at, okay? So this is what we will use as an example. Now what the system will do is, using this example, it will infer the schema. So you don't have to manually give the schema, okay? I'm going to put this in chat, okay? Okay, put this in chat, and this is the output parser, okay? And escape and save, keep doing Control S. So just, out of good habit, Control S. So now you have the agent, everything, okay? And now you could do execute the workflow again, right? So that you can see whether now the output is better, okay? And it often happens when you're working on it, it works fine. When in demo, something breaks. So let's see, execute workflow. And now I do see an extra form, okay, which is here. Okay, we can drive portal, upload driving license. Please, you all also try the same on your side. Okay, now upload. I will take an image, DL sample 3. Okay, now submit. Form has been submitted. Okay, now in the background, something happened, of course. There is also some output. So click on the agent, and now you'll see things are very different. Okay, now this is actually a valid output, right? If you click on JSON, you see now there is a valid JSON scheme. Okay, this is super important. Okay, use use an output like parser to enforce this. Sometimes even that might not work, then you have to do some extra handling. But in general, that adding an output parser is a must in my mind. Don't do anything without it, really essential. Okay, so now you see all the things are here: full name, license number, date of birth, and so on. You can also look at the logs to see what the agent did. Okay, so step by step. First, it only had like 2 steps really. Um, you see there's a system, it made something on its own, okay? Right, and then you see there is a particular output, nothing here. Then there, wait, input, output, right? It's a JSON. This was the JSON output. I mean, this doesn't have much really. But then now you have the structured output parser. To this output parser, you will see the input, okay? This is what it has to parse. Created at, license, everything, right? So this is given, and then it was a very simple flow. There wasn't really much to do. But of course, it could also be more complex with like 10 different things, right? It's confused sometimes, it is doing back and forth, right? But anyway, now it works, right? Now you're able to fetch the information in a structured manner. You also have a validity given to you. It is valid or not, okay? That's cool. Now, let's do this for the sake of you have at least something functional, right? Let's now do this task where you give this feedback back to the user, okay? That upload was successful or whatever, right? Whatever the status was, remember? We want to give this back to the user, okay? And here, to give that, so what you really want is this. You have this form, okay? The form was filled. Once the form was filled, you'll see that right now it is your form has been submitted, your response. No, that's not what we want. What we really want is the extracted information to be given to the user. So we come back here, we click on this plus thing, and again search for form. Okay, but just before this, checking with all of you, did you all also get structured output as expected? Just say yes or no. Did you get the result? Right. Good. Cool. Error in subnode simple. Okay, Danang, you can remove simple memory if you'd like. Okay, I think the reason is because in simple memory you also have to define what is the key. So you didn't set up the key possibly to search for memory. So you just remove the simple memory. Okay, it's also completely fine. It will work without it. Okay. Cool, Danang. Just remove simple memory. We are good. Okay. A model subnode. Cannot able to copy. Please add prompt to Google Doc. Yeah, Jose, I think people suggested, take a screenshot, put it into Gemini or ChatGPT, and then get the result. Okay, ask it to extract the text, and you'll get the full thing. I think this is a good workaround for now. Johnny says, I will watch the video later. I'm lost. Yeah, Johnny, this is a little bit like, as you said in the beginning, right? This is a little bit more um, intermediate to advanced kind of intermediate, I would say, not even fully advanced, but intermediate level. So if you're a beginner, it's really hard to follow this. But a good thing is the recording will be there. You can follow the steps in the recording, all right? Okay, right. Now, this is done. You have the data, you have the output. Now this needs to be passed, okay? And click on this, search for form. And this time, if you click on the n8n form, you will see there are two more options, next form page and form ending. So what n8n is really doing, right? It's not like you only have response submitted and done, You can actually have you can have multi-page journey also, First page is filled and you go to the next page, you take another input or you give some output, right? And the next page and then the final form ending, right? So you can actually build a step-by-step journey also. And that is why I was telling that, n8n perhaps is already sufficient for some simple use cases and if you do further customization in terms of appearance and stuff, you add your logo, add images or whatever. I think this is already okay, to start off, unless you're like a big brand or stuff, then it's not acceptable, but still, something functional or internal purposes or, for your own thing, it's really very useful. So form ending, okay? Click on form ending. And again, you will see this. Again, you just hit escape. You see this has been connected. Okay. Now, what will happen is whatever you do here in the form ending, that will come up in the main form, right? So double click on this form ending thing. Now, here, page type is form ending. Yes. What should you do? You should show either a completion screen or you can redirect it to some other URL. And that's the interesting part, by the way, right? This other URL can be whatever you'd like it to be. So you see the level of control. It's not very simple that you are limited to n8n form itself. You could have a redirection to something else. You could have a returning a binary file. You process and give it back some result, right? You show text or HTML if you'd like. Okay. So what I'll do is, because I want that I give a nice table to the user, okay, that this is what was extracted. So I will give it text. And in text, you can also have HTML. So either you can have very simple, like, oh, this is, here is what was extracted, something like that. You could add these things like this slowly. That is also fine. And now finally, you can say, okay, from the left side, you'll put some data. That is also fine. But a better way would be to give it a more structured manner, okay? So anyway, but step by step, okay? First is, let's see how to give it text, okay? Show text. Now, okay. Now is where you need to take the input from the previous node, right? Or the output from the previous node, which is input to this node, and put it over here in the text, okay? And the way to do this, actually, it's so nice in n8n. You simply can drag and drop from the left. You can go over here. You can drag and drop this thing and put it inside here. So for instance, okay, here are the details, okay? And now I do a couple of lines or whatever, and I say full name, and I put a colon here. And now if I want this variable, I just go to full name on the left and I drag and drop here, okay? And this is what you'll see. JSON, which is the previous one, you can go there, okay? JSON dot output dot full name, okay? So JSON dot output dot full name, you could either drag and drop from here, from the schema like this, or you could go to what the JSON was. You can say the most immediate input, okay? JSON dot output dot full name. Likewise, you can do other things also, of course. So you can say license number, okay? Again, you can either enter it manually, this thing, okay? JSON dot output dot license number, right? And then like this, you can do for the others, right? Date of birth, and so on. You could do all of this manually, right? And just to, we won't, this is not how we'll finally have it, but let's just keep it like this just to have it seen, okay? Control S, save this. And now if I say execute step, okay, execute step, what should happen is, it should give you an output in a new window. It will look terrible because it has nothing, it has simple text, okay? So this is what it is, okay? Sample, full name, sample Janus, license number. The text is there, it's just, not looking good, okay? So of course, there's ways to handle this. You can have HTML, custom HTML, and so on. Of course, there's so many things. But anyhow, so instead of doing this very simple thing, by the way, you can also use Markdown over here to make it look a little better. You can use HTML code over here to make it look even better. Okay, but just to make it look much better, okay, what I would like to do, um, I would like to do is give it in a much more beautified format. Okay. So I made a like simple HTML. Again, you can use, these days you can use Gemini or whatever for all of this. So for chat GPT and stuff, I use that. And there is this full thing, okay? This is again using the same thing. So there's text, but you can see now there is also the same thing, json.output.fullname, right? json.output. This and so on. And what I've also tried to do, I will share this of course in chat. I've also tried to do is return to main screen, remember? So I will also show you how to do this, but yeah, for now, copy this, save this. I mean, I'll execute this step. Let me just put this in chat for you guys. Put this in chat. So you take this thing and maybe you can just take a screenshot, expand the window, chat window, full size, take a screenshot and ask ChatGPT to extract it for you. Okay, please do that if you can't copy. Okay, now this thing, let me just see, right? If you run this, execute this step, and now you will see, if I show you this, now you'll see that it is much, much better. Yeah. Oh, not this one. This is much, much better. Yeah, the following details were extracted from the document. License number is so. Full name was sample Janus. In this case, a sample thing. License class is A. Expiry date is this. Validity status is true. Right? Works. Yes, yes, it works. Okay. So you see already, right? It's like a very simple thing. I mean, this return to main screen, maybe you can just get rid of it. Let me just get rid of it for now, for simplicity. Go back down. This one, this href, this thing can just go. Yeah, done. Return to main screen is not needed, okay? And if I just run this, execute step, you'll see it now gets similar response, right? We don't need anything funky. So it does work, okay? You get this nice table formatted and you have this result. So this works, okay? And we can try it out for different documents if you'd like. Now you have a workflow which at least does this, right? You have a workflow which has a some sort of simple front end, right? The URL. You can execute this workflow. So this thing pops up, okay? You'll see, you can also give it a try. This thing pops up. Pick and drive license upload portal. Choose an image, maybe this time, this lady perhaps, okay? Maybe it finds, if it doesn't find, optimize this. But choose an image and then it works in the background. It maybe takes a couple of seconds and you see now, okay? Valid status is false because it was still January. Yes, so valid status is false. So anyway, you can change the message also so that it, we had the status thing. We did not add it, but you can add it over here as well, right? That status is false, so it was unsuccessful or whatever. So you could do that if you'd like, right? Or you could again, give a different one where it is valid and check it out. So all of these, just give it a try. You'll see, yeah, you'll see that Just give it a try, optimize it further if you'd like. Okay. So this one, it works now. Okay, sample Janus works. So anyway, give it different formats to make it more robust. Make sure it is working for different formats as well. Okay. Okay, right. So at least you have this one, right, where you can give in an image. The AI agent will work through it. AI agent will make sure the structured output. AI agent will also give it back to you. Okay, and just for the sake of completion, you see now this thing, right? When you did this earlier, if you go back to this, you had this test URL over here. So far what you were doing was a test URL. Okay. If you go here, production URL, this is the link which you can share outside as well, to other people as well. Okay. As long as your machine is connected to the internet or you're using an online server, people should be able to use this URL. So for instance, if I copy this URL, if I close this, okay, Control S, and the other thing I need is making this workflow active, because this workflow is not active right now, right? So let me just minimize this, zoom in, zoom out. Okay. This right now is inactive. So if I click on this, this becomes active. And you see, the message I see is you can now make calls to your production form URL. These executions will not show up immediately in the editor, but you can see them in the execution list if you choose to save execution. You say, got it. Okay. Again, you have to click here. It was active, inactive here. So you have to click on this to make it active. And you'll see automatically, I have this come up. Set up error notifications. You can set that up. You can test reliability of agents by using evals. You can do some other things like, which is not so important at this point. Okay. Okay. If you use the chat model via API, can you still have settings so that the data is not used to train the model? That is for later. Michael, this is where it's a bit tricky. So in general, so it depends on the provider actually. So Google, I know that if you are a individual, if you're using Gemini through the Gemini interface on the website, right, or the app, your personal data will be your data will be used to train Google models, Gemini models. But if you are using a corporate account, it does not use it. Likewise, if you use the API, some of them do not use data for training, but some of them do. So you just make sure to check that particular provider. I believe Google does not use it for training if using the API, but you can just ensure, just check Google, whether they use it or not. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. So now you'll see all of these things are possible, but skip this. This is now active. What does this mean? You see, there was a production URL. This production URL is now something I can share with anyone. I can open a new window or tab, share this link, okay? And you see pick and dry license upload portal. Remember, it's ugly, it's fine. We can fix it later. We can make it super beautiful if you'd like. Then choose file, right? There is a license added. You say submit. And now the whole thing is happening in the background, right? And done. Following details were extracted from the document, right? It's working, right? I mean, it's done. This is like already done. I mean, you could click on this, start a new link, upload something else, works. So now you have a URL which you can share with people, okay, right? Which you can share with people, and this is actually a functioning web application with a front end. And this whole n8n stuff, really, this is really your backend in a way. Okay, it is minimalistic, but it is something, right? It is something which is working. Okay. Now there's a question. Can you share? Okay, I can share my production link. Yes. Uh, yeah. Yeah. This is my production link. Intake. So this is good. I mean, if you folks, I mean, those who have built something before, right? You know how it is if you're using a different place where you have a front end, a separate back end in a project, and syncing and connection lost. Okay, can you guys hear me still? Yeah.
You're
Right.
audible.
Okay, you can hear me still. Okay. All right. So you see, right, it is quite a pain to just have something which is really there, deployed. But this one is quite straightforward, as you can see, right? Now you have something, but your URL is working and it is a function. It is functioning system in a way. Okay. And if you use your local for development, of course, if your system is shut, the system stops working. But if you use n8n cloud, like I did, right? Or if some of you are doing using trial version, this is 24/7 online, right? And n8n cloud also has a lot of options. Even in the basic cloud function, it has scalability. It can handle concurrent users. It has I think, from the messaging queue, it also has some, I think, exactly, I don't remember, but I think it is using Redis something to manage the queue as well. So it has all of those things inbuilt for you. So if you don't want to spend all of time on that, if you just want to make something quickly, right? So this is really cool, right? My link is not working. Someone says Amrita Pandey. No, my link seems to be working, Amrita. Yeah, maybe you all use it, yeah, concurrently at the same time, because that's also a good thing, right? All of you use it at the same time, maybe after. Now it's opening for me, by the way, as you can see. I mean, and it's opening now. Okay, but anyway, you can use your own link and it should also work fine. Okay, but this is good. I mean, just you have to just take a moment and see, right? This, you already have a fully functioning system. Okay, it is taking much time, it is working perfect. Okay, it is working for you all as well. Awesome. So you see, right, just the power of it, right? You have already a fully functioning system. Okay, it's not, doesn't have many features, but it is still something. It still has a front end, simple front end. It still has user feedback. It still has image handling. It has image extraction. It still enforces robust structure and so on. So if you have done this already, then congratulations, right? Especially if you haven't used n8n before, if you were able to go through all of this, congratulations, you have built your first web app, right, on n8n. So which is really cool. Can we integrate n8n work on a website as element? Yes, you can have a webhook, and n8n works really well with webhooks, okay, for sure. You can have a chatbot or whatever, depending on what you want, you can do it then. Okay. Now, for the sake of completion, and because I mentioned it earlier, what I will also show, but you don't have to do it right now. You can see in the recording. Maybe I can show you the other workflow, which perhaps was initially planned, and we did not do that full complexity because most of you are not using n8n before, right? So I will show you the other parts of this, okay, which will help you complete, or or why we said Supabase was needed, right? Why we asked you to install Supabase, okay? So let me share this part of my screen. And one of the extra things we needed to do, I mean, you could do it later yourself, is in Supabase, okay, in your database, after the form is collected or the information is collected, you can also add a row in your database, okay? So what we really want is this. Someone uses the form, fills all the information, successful upload, whatever. In Supabase, okay, in your database, also this should be added. So if you see my screen right now, you see the submissions. I mean, this is not getting updated right now because I didn't, but yeah, you see the submissions we could be doing. All of them can be added to a database directly. Okay. So license number, date of birth, license issue, right? Created timestamp, right? And all of these can automatically be added. Now that will make this far more complete because at the end of the day, you also need it to be stored somewhere, right? So Supabase was for that purpose. There's a few steps over there. You have to create a simple. In fact, the video we shared with you, by the way, on YouTube was really helpful. Okay, so we can you can see that, you can see how to connect it to Supabase, you can see how to create a table. And once you have a table, right, once you create a table in Supabase with these fields, these are the fields I want over there, I want full name, whatever, right? If you have these details, from n8n putting into Supabase is just one more additional step, guys. That's all. So you have your Supabase connection here, okay? And you say, okay, you have to create an operation called create a row, okay? And then you can enter the name of this table. So my name of my table over here was driving license metadata, right? And that is what I used over here. You can say create, and you can either say, allow the system to figure out the mapping if the field names are matching. It is smart enough to do it, or you can take them one by one, right? And like we did earlier, right, from the left side we dragged and dropped, right? You can drag and drop these field values as well to the left side. Okay, and once you do that full thing, what will happen is you also have this. You can update in the system. So let me show you this submission. Let me just this one, okay, which I did earlier, and you choose this file and you submit license, and you'll see this is working in the background. Oh, I think my system is down because okay, okay. I think sometimes it happens. Yeah, I think it's too many things going on. Anyhow, it's okay. It's no big deal. I can use the current one. It'll still work. Yeah, let's use this one. No, not this one. Leave. And yeah, okay. Let's go back here. No, here, here. Anyway, license demo, this thing, choose by, anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, the eventually it goes into Superbase, okay, and it gets added as a row over here. As you can see, all of these rows. So that is what will complete the system. All you need, in addition to what you already have, is follow the YouTube video to connect Superbase to n8n, and you add a Superbase create a row thing. Okay, so just go here, search for Superbase, right, and you'll see there is a create a row option. Create a row, right? You have to specify your connection, of course, with the API. Then you'll have to say the table name, and you can either manually map the individual columns, or you can say automatically map. And once you have connected, the step will be executed. Okay, so that will complete your full thing. Okay, but in any case, even if you did not do this, I would say even without this, I can say that you already have you have a functioning system. You have built a web app using n8n and Python, n8n using n8n, right, completely, and AI agents and image extraction and structured output and so many things with the front end as well, and n8n as the backend. So this is already a good result. Okay, this is a good first step, and congratulations. And if you'd like to learn further, of course, the video will be there. The recording would be there, so you can go through that and finish it yourself. Okay. Um, yeah, and deployment options, we can maybe talk about this a little bit before I close. But anyhow, so there are multiple options with n8n if you really like. I'll be very brief about this, but maybe we can discuss out later. Okay, can we integrate in a web apps to perform CRUDs? Yes, you can, Naeem. Okay, let me skip this. Okay, right. So there's many different types of deployment options, of course, right? And you can have a local server, full control, unlimited executions, but you have to manage the deployment, right? You have to monitor and so on if you'd like a reliable system. So if you're okay with all that manipulation, and by local, it doesn't mean your laptop. It could also mean a machine or a Mac Mini or something you have kept with your system in your place, right? If the power is off, the system is off, of course. There's also, yeah, so that's one thing, but you have full control. The other is n8n Cloud Deployed, which I have been doing right now. n8n Cloud Deployed. It is convenient and cheap. It has easy monitoring and alerts. As you saw, there were some options. Scaling wise, it is fair. It can handle fair amount of users. I think if you have, let's say, 1,000 users overall, it is still fine, because concurrently, you will not have 5 or 6 or 10 users using, which it should be able to handle. It has queues. It has better security than you using your own local server. Okay. You could also do this where you put it on a VPS, and you can use Hostinger or something else, which are many options, right? Again, your hosting service maybe $4 to $5 per month, or 400 to 500 rupees from those from India. High control, full control actually. It is, but it is a little bit more involved compared to maybe even a local server. But it's a one-time setup thing, really. But it is again very low cost, because you can have a lot of you can set up very well. You can have a lot of concurrent resources or whatever. You can do something on VPS. And if you want like full control that you're used to, full scale project, you could also, yeah, you could also take it to GCP or AWS or Azure, right? full control, but of course, this is very involved process. It has low cost. Of course, you could also use the different features provided by the cloud providers themselves. So Google, for instance, has a lot of things. AWS has a lot of things, right, for monitoring and so on. You can use those. You have enhanced security options over there, and you also have multiple options even within Google. For instance, using say Google Cloud Run versus using GKE and so on. So there's multiple options over there also for a developer. You will find something over there, okay, for everyone. Okay, right. Finally, let's see. And if you have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, okay, there if for those right who are a bit more beginners and you want to look at another example, which is okay like this. So like a finance bot, which is monitors emails, extracts PDFs, logs into a Google Sheet, notifies a team by email, right? And slowly on your own pace, maybe you can check out the Coursera course we have. So you have a course on Coursera for this, which is a little bit more, I think, longer. Of course, it explains over a long duration as well. So you can check it out. Maybe that is a good next step for those of you who are beginners. Okay? For those of you who are a little not complete beginners, but if this helped you open your, oh, I can do this stuff. Of course, as you can imagine, there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can, deploy it somewhere else. You can set up errors. You can set up monitoring and so on. There's a lot you can achieve over here. Maybe have a different front end. Maybe have webhooks connected to n8n, and then it takes from there, right? And if you want it a bit more better, maybe use Lovable to create the front end and n8n serves as a back end, right? You can do all of those things, okay? And yeah, you can keep in touch on LinkedIn. So you can follow me if you'd like, or send a connection request, message me, and so on. Okay, so I'm on LinkedIn as well. Let me see if there's any questions. I'll stick around.
Uh, Thank you so much, Rahim, for such a clear and engaging session. Like the way you explain each and every elements of anything from triggers, nodes to AI agents, and making the real workflow. And you made the entire process so simple and easy to follow. And also the step explanation and practical examples made it easy, I guess, for everyone to build a website along with you. Also, we would like to thank all the participants for joining us today. And we'll be sharing the recording and all the required resources over the mail and in the WhatsApp group as well. If anyone has any questions, they can just raise your hand. We can unmute them and they can ask questions directly. Also, please take a moment to fill the feedback form. It will help us to improve our improve and modify our further webinars. It's right. I'll just share in the chat group. Yeah, anyone has any questions can raise their hand.
I think this is better. Yeah. Okay.
I guess most of them have already put the questions in the chat,
Mm.
and I guess we've already answered it.
Yeah.
Still, we'll just wait for more 30 seconds. Anyone has any questions can raise their hand. We'll just unmute them. Also, the feedback form is in the chat box, so please take a moment to fill the form. Okay, I guess all the questions are answered. Then we can just drop off. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Thank you so
Okay.
much,
Thanks,
Rahim.
everyone. Bye.
Bye bye.
There's a couple of questions in the chat. I'll just take those quick ones. Uh, Emmanuel asks, can you use Lovable for the front end and n8n for the back end? Yes, of course. So you can have just like a front end, like a simple landing page, maybe, right? Or something else, right, in the front end. And you have a webhook over there, right? Like a form and a webhook associated with it. So when someone fills that form, the webhook it's sent to n8n. So let me see if you can see the screen still. Okay. Yeah. So you see this. Can you see my screen still, guys?
Yes, it's visible.
it shows a workflow right now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Emmanuel, right? So this, right? This is a webhook which is coming from a website of mine, right? And once I get that information from this webhook, of course I can do all of these things afterwards, right? So it's you can have a front end with anything else really, as long as you can have a webhook connected to it, it works. Yeah. Let me see if there's anything else. Can I generate an auto post ad videos? Yes, you can. Just for these things, right? Around can I do this or not? Just go to n8n.io. There's templates and search over there. Most likely, someone has already built this, and you will be able to use it already. Okay. So just check what is already there, right? Do I still need to pay a monthly fee for all the tools? No, not necessary. So if you use a local version of n8n, you don't need to have any tool. I mean, so if you use Google Gemini API, which is free for a while, right? You can still do that if you're within that limit. Or there are also free providers, like this. I think there's some other where you can have a free limit, certain limit. If you're within that usage, you can use it free forever. Okay. So, right. Malas says, I learned a lot. You're welcome. Generate video and post. Yes, yes, I can understand regular code. Cost after complete build. Uh, let's see. I think. Someone shared a much nicer looking app. This is really cool. uh, so Gustavo shared a much nicer looking app actually in the chat. So license successfully updated. Please continue the rental process. He used custom styling over there. So yeah, it looks really cool, Gustavo. If you're still here, you can maybe tell what you did to do that. If the others can perhaps also repeat that. Yeah. Okay. I think he's left. Anyhow, but yeah,
Uh,
Gustavo did a nice thing. Yeah.
I'll just unmute.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Gustavo yeah, but Felix
Hello.
has a raised hand.
Thank you very much for your explanation. I have the experience of working with n8n, and I participated in this course to see if I can learn something new. The only problem that I've already had was that unfortunately I couldn't get the API key, and I always saw that it is paid. And now that I went to AI Studio and wanted to create one, the problem is that it says you cannot create a new project. I wanted to see if you have any ideas. Is the problem with my email, or what do you think?
Yeah, I'm unsure because normally I think that was the easiest way. People could just go into AI Studio and get an API key. But if it could be something with your account, I'm not sure really.
And also, I created another account from Germany, and again, I received the same error.
Okay, then I'm not sure really. But in general, I would say Google had given a fair amount of usage to users free of cost. You could also go and try a 3 month or 6 month trial for Google. Google just search for Google AI and something, and you'll get it. Maybe not through AI Studio, but let me just see. Not if AI Studio is not working for you, then making just a simple project on Google Cloud. You can give a trial period for Google Cloud, right? And there you have to make
Yeah,
a simple project and you will still get it. So I think maybe that is all you need to try. Just go to just search for Google Cloud, and then make a simple project over there using your account. Maybe then you should be able to access it.
I see. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
your
Yeah,
explanation.
right, great. Thank you. And there is a question by Felix. Please go ahead.